Welcome everybody back with a video. Today we're going to be talking about the last time Epic 7 actually nerfed a character. Now I'm not going to be looking at Elvira, because honestly Elvira was just, that's not really considered a nerf in my honest opinion, right? So let's get right into it, right? So obviously we do know the World Arena Spring 2025 season infographic. We have HARSETTI being absolutely insane with a 72% ban rate in all stages. Top 10, obviously early stage she is 67%, and then top 10 pre-bans mid stage is 71.9%, and then late stage 74.3%. Again, HARSETTI is kind of a problem for a lot of people, right? Honestly, for me, I'm saying this now, I strictly focus more on Guild War and Arena. So I'm gonna be honest here, HARSETTI for me personally, it was kind of whatever. She's literally whatever in Arena and Guild War, but RTA is where people are having more problems with her, right? So again, from my perspective, HARSETTI is whatever, because she's not really annoying at all in Arena or Guild War. To me, okay, you gotta remember, to me personally, right? We all had. It's different for everybody, right? And then obviously when you look at the season, HARSETTI Pursuit was 68.3, in Spring 2025, 72. Gonna go down here, HARSETTI went up from 71 to 76, and then Legend League, she went from 71 in Pursuit up to 77.6 in Spring. Again, it is quite insane in terms of her ban rate. It's literally a problem. Now, honestly, to fix said problem, I feel like it's very simple. I feel like it's really, really simple to fix her speed RNG. The whole problem about HARSETTI, I have no problem with HARSETTI taking turn 1. But I'm pretty sure, myself included, and everyone else, that the biggest problem is the speed RNG after. It's literally coin flipped whoever goes after her, right? Unless you have it, unless you have a fast HARSETTI and the rest of your team is fast, then it's a different story. Then it's not really RNG. But when it's a slow HARSETTI, and then everyone is slow, like let's say it's just a normal 160 HARSETTI, right? Or like a 140 HARSETTI. Everyone after that is literally going to be a coin flip. I'm pretty sure that's the biggest problem people have with HARSETTI. Like, I have no problem. Keep her going first turn. I don't mind that. Fix the problem after that, where it's a coin flip. That's all they got to do. That's really all they have to do for her. Because otherwise, people will be much more happier dealing with HARSETTI when it's not a guaranteed coin flip after whoever goes next, in what order, right? Because you can straight up lose the game if she goes and her entire team goes before you do, just because it's RNG at that point, right? It's a little annoying, right? I would think everyone's annoyed by that, right? So that's what I think they could do with her. But now we're going to talk about the last time they actually nerfed the character. So we do obviously have Red Hwayoung. The biggest problem before HARSETTI. Again, let's get into it, right? So, Hwayoung got her nerf. Again, I was not here at this time. I was gone for the Red Hwayoung meta. I was basically retirement, right? I was away from the game for a couple years. So basically, this character, insane, right? Absolutely broken. She was literally had it all. She literally had it all. Right, she was just an insane character at that time she was released. They even say it here, and I remember this time because I was still keeping up with the Discord, right, the Yigi Discord, because I was the leader of the guild. So I did read it. I just wasn't here playing at that time, right? From back then, I remember Hwayoung being quite annoying. She can do literally 1v4. The character was a big problem back then, and especially back then, where I think there was not that many DPSers that were really good at that current time, especially when it comes to the fire attribute. It was basically Hwayoung or bust for the fire attribute back then. Honestly, I think fire attribute is much better now, which I'm glad, because I always believed fire attribute was the worst attribute until like maybe they started releasing Flan, Tori, and all them, because I didn't like it at all. I think it was really in the gutters. But I'm much happier now with how the fire attribute currently is. But again, Hwayoung, obviously they nerfed her, and they were to given a recall. Nice. But the thing is, right, over the years, people have noticed, when it comes to recalls, Smilegate is not a big fan of it. They are not a big fan of recalls. Now, honestly, I'm pretty sure this isn't for the reasons people are thinking. I'm pretty sure they're really iffy about recall because of the whole situation that happened here. The whole situation that happened And the 9-5 hero balance adjustment preview was absolutely insane. This was back in 2019. If you were here during this time period, you know what happened. There was a lot of crazy stuff that went on during this time period, during this certain balance adjustment. They were doing nerfs before. I could bet money on it. They were doing nerfs before this happened, right? But during this time period, they got a lot of backlash. They got a lot of backlash during this said time period. And ever since then, ever since this happened, they've been afraid to nerf characters. Because again, if you were here during this time, it was really bad. Tenha, he was doing Epic 7 at that current time. I mean, I'm pretty sure he still has videos up about it. They made a whole video. That's where the truck cunt started and all that, where they send trucks over there. There was just a lot of stuff that went on. They even had a whole meeting just strictly talking about nerfs. I gotta find it, because they literally, I think Tenha went, or someone else went and recorded it for us. And you were able to see it. It was literally a whole meeting revolving around nerfs. It was absolutely insane. And ever since then, they have been afraid. Only other nerf character we've seen in the game was what? Hwayoung? This was the only other character. Again, I don't count Vera. So I'll be very, very surprised if they want to touch HARSETTI. Because obviously back then, this is 2019, right? 2019, these characters, if you look at them now, they are much better now in their current state than they were back then and their first release date. I'll say that right now, right? 100%. So let's talk about it, right? Blade Amethyst, back then, before, right? She would attack your enemies with Mystic Fire, increasing the caster's combat radius by 30%. The usual, right? And then Meteor Fall will be drops a giant meteor to stun all enemies for 1 turn with a 40%, max 50% chance to inflict 3 burn effects. That 3 burn effects was insane. So now they reduced it to 2. And then obviously, the Flame Release, they changed it. Attacks all enemies with Mystic Fire energy, increasing combat radius by 20%. That 1 extra burn made a big difference, because back then, there was no Meteor Cleric. There was no hand guy. There was none of that back then. So this was a problem. It was a problem at the time. Sage Bow. Sage Bow. Who would have thought Sage Bow OP? Ever since then, he's been niche. Right? So obviously he had the Cloud of Ruin. 85% max 100% to dispel 2 buffs, and a 65% max 80% chance to put them to sleep. When this skill is available, increases caster's combat radius by 15%, max 25 at the end of an enemy's turn, 3 turn cooldown. You know how insane that was back then? Bro, you gotta remember, this is 2019. All the problem solver units we have now did not exist back then, which is why everyone screamed for a nerf on these said characters. Again, dispel 2 buffs, and you can put him to sleep on a 3-turn cooldown, and he gets combat radius by 25% at the end of the enemy's turn when the skill was available. He could just lap over and over and over and just put him to sleep with S1. You don't even have to rip S2. You're gonna be afraid to hit S2, or you're gonna be afraid to be putting immunity on or anything at that current time, because he's just going to strip it, put you to sleep, and that's it. GG over, right? And then obviously after, they changed it to 1 dispel buff, one buff, and they reduced the combat radius to 20%, and they added an extra turn, which pretty much gutted him. That 2 dispel 2 buffs were kind of insane. Making him 1 buff was kind of annoying, because at that point FCC was around. I think she was around at that time. And you just run FCC and somebody else with immunity or something else, and he's not really doing anything, right? Arbiter Vildred also, Arbiter Vildred, insane. Let's get into it, right? Arbiter Vildred at that time, after Arbiter Vildred died, he came back with 100% CR and increased attack for 2 turns. Oh boy, if you remember this meta, whenever JP server came out, JP server had to deal with this Arbiter Vildred, and basically there was no counter to this Arbiter Vildred for a very long time on the JP server. So it was basically Arbiter Vildred or bust, and I think that is why the JP server kind of, it didn't do so hot. A lot of people who play JP server kind of quit because of this whole Arbiter Vildred situation, because of increased attack. It was literally, if you have Arbiter Vildred, you're set. If you didn't have him, well then honestly there was really no real way to deal with him at that current time for quite a while. And then lastly, Crimson Armin. Crimson Armin, right? Decrease damage received by allies from a critical hit by 20%, max 30%, and obviously they reduced it to critical hit by 10% and max 15. Carmen was a problem back then. She was a problem. And then she gave the team a 3 turns ability. And then they reduced it to 2. Again, was quite insane. And like I said, ever since then, ever since this whole situation, they have been afraid to nerf. Now, are they ever going to nerf HARSETTI? I have zero hope they're going to nerf HARSETTI because of them being afraid from whatever happened here. Again, we've only seen a handful of nerfs in about almost 7 years. I don't think HARSETTI really needs... She does need a nerf. I will say she needs a nerf. But they don't really need to kill her to get her out here. It's just, like I said, it's one little simple thing that she needs. Just don't make it speed RNG whoever goes after her. That's the biggest problem. That is literally the biggest problem, right? But other than that, though, again, I'll be surprised if they want to nerf HARSETTI. I won't be... I will say the Fenrir CE, I would have been perfectly fine with it. I want to see how it was going to play out. I didn't like that they really got rid of it. Yes, I understand. People complain. People can voice their opinion all they want. But honestly, sometimes I feel like they really need to not listen to the community and just see how it plays out. If it played out horribly, well, then they could just go back and get rid of his Fenrir CE and just change it. But I don't like how they really just scrapped the whole idea because of the community. Yet again, complaining, right? But other than that, though, we'll see what happens with HARSETTI. We'll see how they really want to address her. Again, for me personally, she's not really a problem. But I understand that she is definitely a problem if you do play RTA and everything else. For me, GVG and Arena, she is pretty much solved at this point. I don't have a problem. RTA, different situation, right? But other than that, though, thanks for watching the video. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you guys later on. Peace out.